The first time I heard about this hot new show on Netflix was on Reddit. And as you'd expect, there were people fighting about what the message behind the series was. Having seen the show now, I can see where some people were coming from with the message about the red pill being a little on the nose, especially when Andrew Tate is named as someone who's radicalizing young men. But aside from that, I honestly think it was a pretty solid series, especially episode 3. That ish was intense, but more on that a little later. It's clear that the show had something to say about masculinity, the red pill, and how young people are consuming it. And in all fairness, it wasn't entirely wrong. While I'd like to think that most rational people see the red pill as being nothing more than the veil just being pulled from over our eyes about things, this obviously isn't the case for everyone, especially when we're talking about children.
Fuck the woman! Fuck the woman!
What? No, wait. We love women. We love women.
But not like transgenders.
In much the same way people can read the Bible and walk away with their own interpretation of what it says, the same thing holds true for red pill content. So, while you might not be affected by it, when young boys and even some men are watching these podcasts, you have to keep in mind that they're not all capable of properly processing and filtering what they're watching, which has led to the red pill having the PR nightmare it continues to have until this day. Anyway, if you haven't seen the show already, it's about a young boy who takes the life of a girl in his school, but the murder isn't what the show focuses on, as it's mostly about how the boy's actions affect everyone else. Throughout a couple of the episodes, they bring up the whole 80-20 rule thing and kind of show how red pill rhetoric affected the boy's mental. But it wasn't the content alone that led him to doing what he did. It was also the fact that he didn't really have anyone in his real life to talk to about women, rejection, or the problems he was dealing with at school. So in this aspect, it's kind of a commentary on parenting, neglect, and how poorly schools often deal with things like bullying, which in my experience is usually nothing at all. Which is why kids, and even parents, sometimes feel the need to take the law into their own hands. Episode 3 was intense, and the boy who played Jamie, Owen Cooper, was damn good. And the fact that each of the episodes were filmed in one take and in real time makes it even more impressive, and keeps you locked into all the drama that's unfolding. Now, in the 3rd episode, Jamie gets interviewed by a psychologist, and that's when most of the red pill stuff comes up. And things like toxic masculinity and how men or boys see and treat women. I wish I could do a reaction to this episode, but I'm guessing my channel would get shut down in an instant. Anyway, how the psychologist talks to and sees Jamie seems to represent how people see the red pill and how it's impacting young boys and men. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but if you've seen the show, you can let me know in the comments if I'm way off. But let's say this was the message they were trying to get across. Would they be wrong about the red pill and the effect it's having? In all honesty, I don't think so. Even though the red pill is only supposed to be about exposing the truth, the way some guys react to some of the content they watch is wild, and this is especially true for guys who've just woken up. This is kind of unfortunate, because you have creators out there who might not all make red pill content, but they do communicate a message to young men that's nuanced and valuable and needs to be heard by young people. And I'm talking about creators like Anton Daniels, MTR, Young Don, as well as Abba and Preach. I think there's a lot of truth in what red pill creators talk about. It's just that sometimes, how a message is conveyed isn't always delivered in a way that younger minds can understand with a nuanced approach. Anyway, while the series does make a few comments about the red pill, if you ever do get around to watching it, you'll see that it's about much more than that. Now, people were having some crazy conversations on Reddit about this show, and it's what kind of piqued my interest to begin with, as it was the first time I was hearing of it.
Bro, the only people who consume red pill and manosphere content are right-wing people. The red pill sphere pushes heavy social conservatism, and a few are heavy Christian cultural advocates, and the manosphere is technically socially liberal, but all support right-wing politicians. I was part of the red pill and manosphere space for years. I know exactly what they believe in, and what kinds of people are in the community.
Now, while he might be right about some of that, and even how some people behave when they get into the whole red pill thing, much like everything else in life, it's never that simple. There are a lot of people who watch red pill content and never talk about it, and they never act out in any way. All that's happened since they started consuming red pill content is that they became more aware of things like paternity fraud, marriage laws, and some of the preferences that women have for men. While some of this might sound like common sense to you, it's not that way for everyone. And if young people don't have people in their lives who can talk to about things like this, then yeah, they will turn to online creators who might not always talk about things in a way that young people won't misunderstand. Not everyone who's exposed to red pill ideas becomes radical. They just make adjustments in their lives to better protect themselves. Anyway, someone responded to this person's comment, and I think it was a pretty good reply.
I would agree that there are many men and teens who enter the red pill space and end up becoming right-wing or extreme in their views. However, I also think that happens on a case-by-case basis, and there are still red pill people who don't agree with every single conservative viewpoint. The whole process is similar to how radical extremist feminists behave. They become disillusioned by something negative that happens to them personally, and then start learning about a group that brings injustice on either side to light. They start off moderate, and then meet extremists who warp their perceptions and beliefs with misrepresented or overblown information. Also, much like feminism, red pill content started as a movement that simply provided information to people about social issues that they had never seen or realized were a problem that affects them. However, as the movement grew, so did the numbers of delusional men with radical ideologies. I agree that many men in the manosphere are socially liberal and vote right-wing. However, I don't think this will change until we start to see politicians and leaders stepping up that take a more moderate approach to legislature and ideology who can actually articulate their reasoning and perspectives adequately. The feminist movement and red pill movement are two sides to the same coin, and simply saying, I know exactly what they believe in and what kinds of people are in the community is ignorant, and the same as someone saying, I know exactly who feminists are and how they operate, and ultimately will just foster more resentment. Both sides need to sit down and take a second to actually listen to and process how each other feels and how different issues affect both sides instead of just jumping to vitriolic impulses. We also need to work together to at least make suggestions on potential forms of compromise. The issues both sides focus on tend to be very complex and impactful, so unless we can find a way to ride out the uncomfortability of compromise and experiment with actual changes, there is no solution in sight.
I think this guy was pretty spot on with all that. And if you want to see what else people were talking about on this Reddit post, I'll leave a link in the description. And if you haven't already seen this show on Netflix, I'd say it's worth a watch. In any case, let me know your thoughts in the comments so we can chop it up.